All right, we are live to the first edition of the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast. Right here, live on KRC, Episode 1. Atlanta Motor Speedway predictions. This is going to be a quicker video. We'll probably go into the start of the race this time. Sorry, it's a little later. It's about a half hour to an hour later than what I wanted it to be originally. Trying to adjust the camera here on the fly. So I just got home from the golf course, and no, I was not waiting until the last minute to go golfing. I was only going to play 9 holes anyway, so I can get time to get back here. Was looking to get back home by about 1:30, 1:45. Easily get this thing started by 2:30 at the latest. Well, it took me 2.5 hours just to play 9 holes because of how backed up it was out there. So we are here, we are live, and this should be a lot of fun. We're going to go through predictions, last-minute fantasy advice you guys have as of right now. 12 minutes to lock your fantasy teams in. If you have not joined the KRC League yet on the Fantasy Live mobile app or on NASCAR.com, go to the fantasy section. Sign up with your email if you're not already signed up, and click on the Join League and search KRC League, KRC in all caps, and then League, and hit Join. Happy Cowboys fan, Lila Z Mutter 948. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, again, we're going to roll right into the picks. We're going to make this quick. We'll likely run into the very start of the race. Drop of the green flag is scheduled for 3:19, so we do still have a little bit of time. Don't forget to make your picks. Ravish, Tyler Brubeck, welcome to the stream as well. So just me here today for this episode. I'm going to be going onto my betting site and making my pick to win the race, which we'll get into in a little bit. First, we're going to go through the starting lineup for today's race. I'm going to bring that up on the screen right now, and we'll take a look at where everybody starts for today's race. So here we go. Denny Hamlin is going to be starting on the pole here in this one. This time he will actually get the start on the pole. Last time at Homestead he was scheduled to start on the pole but had to drop to the rear for the start. So first pole, I guess, technically this season. Martin Truex Jr., his teammate, will start outside pole in second, ran in the Xfinity race yesterday and last week's winner at Phoenix. Row 2, both the Penske cars of Logano, Keselowski, both Sergey for their first win of the year. All Hendrick row 3 with Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. Larson with 1 win on the year, trying to double down on that today. Kevin Harvick, he is one of the best drivers at Atlanta, if not the best in recent history, starting inside row 4. Christopher Bell starts outside row 4, going for his second win of the year as well. William Byron, Ryan Blaney will be in row 5, Blaney looking for his first after back-to-back top 10s, and Byron coming in with 1 win on the year on a mile and a half as well. We go into the second part of the starting lineup here. Here's some drivers starting further back in the field, guys to maybe look out for. Tyler Reddick. We'll see what Cole Custer can do. All the younger guys that are really starting out towards the back. I'm interested to see what Eric Jones can do. He's had some really stellar runs this year for that 43 team, but they haven't been as good on the 550 tracks as, say, the Daytona Road Course or Phoenix, with the higher horsepower, lower downforce. So we'll see what he can do today. Same for Bubba Wallace. He's not on this list, but he is starting outside the top 10. They have not been good on the 550 tracks this year, but it seems like on the 750 tracks, they're 1 for 1 at Phoenix. Bubba's not a good road course racer, so I'm going to exclude that. But we go to a bunch of short tracks coming up here soon that I think that 23 team can get going. So their goal today, I think, is just to survive and try to get that first top 10, but we'll see if they can do it. So comments in the chat down below, say your picks as we go along with it. Again, just kind of flying through this one because we don't have as much time today compared to what we usually would. Again, these are going to be more like, we'll run till about 3:30. We'll run just into the start of the race. Half will win, lap in the field twice. Man, that is a bold prediction. We're going to start off with the don't haves for today's race. I'll pop it up on the screen. I'll talk about them a little bit after the fact. Again, this is kind of going to be the way we're going to go, but I'm going to look at the chat more in future episodes going forward. We will have more time. This is just kind of the first episode, so I wasn't expecting it to be that long anyway. We'll have some fun little stuff to go along with it in the future. Our post-race analysis live stream for the NASCAR Fantasy podcast will be on Mondays, and tomorrow's will be at 5 o'clock. So maybe if you're on your way home from work or way home from school or just getting home, you can pop in, listen to it. That'll be a lot of fun. So here are the don't haves. We only have 2 of them on the list for today. The Atlanta stats, and they're both Hendrick Motorsport drivers. William Byron and Alex Bowman. Neither one of these two have finished in the top 10 since moving to Hendrick Motorsports. Of course, Byron was a rookie in 2018, so all 3 seasons he's had up to this point have been a Hendrick. He's finished 33rd, 17th, and 18th in the 3 Atlanta starts, so definitely do not put Byron in your lineup. I know he won at 1.5 miles at Homestead this year, and honestly, Hendrick as a whole has been really good with the 550 package in the first 2 races so far. It's just too risky to put Byron and Bowman in your lineups for today's race. And for Bowman, he hasn't finished in the top 10 as well in the last 3 races, which is since moving to Hendrick. I didn't even look at what his BK Racing stats were here because that's, needless information. We don't really need that kind of information. So neither one of these guys have had success at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I wouldn't put either one in your lineup. It is not a very, very safe, not a very, very safe bet to put either one of those 2 guys in your lineup. Cap24, welcome to the stream as well. Yep, drop of the green flag is scheduled for 3:19, I believe. Am I live commentating the race this weekend? Not the Cup race. We did do the Xfinity race yesterday. We'll go back to the Cup Series next week at Dirt Bristol. All right, so now into the sleeper picks for today's race. So sleeper picks. We got 2 of them as well. Atlanta Motor Speedway stats for Kurt Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. are going to be the 2 sleeper picks. Yes, Patrick, I did see your comment there about Kurt Busch being a dark horse pick. That's why I didn't mention it. Kurt Busch is a dark horse pick. He is going to be in my fantasy lineup for today's race. He's got 5 straight top 10s at the Atlanta Motor Speedway with 2 top 5s in the last 5 races as well, including a 3rd place finish 2 years ago. Kurt Busch has obviously had success at Atlanta with both packages, with the current one we have now with the 550 horsepower, the high downforce, as well as the low downforce. Really since moving to Haas in the mid-2010s, he's had a lot of success here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Is maybe a riskier pick for your fantasy team, but he could very well get a top 10. He's only got 1 career top 10 at Atlanta, but he's consistent because in the last 6 races here, he has not finished worse than 18th. And both the JTG cars have brought a lot of speed to the racetrack so far this season. Both Ricky Stenhouse and Ryan Preece are in the top 16 in points, but Stenhouse has had a lot better success in recent years than Preece. Preece was looking like he was going to get a top 10 here in 2019 until he had that accident on pit road with BJ McLeod, if you guys remember. So that wasn't really his fault. McLeod just kind of stopped in the middle of pit road, and Preece ran into the back of him because he wasn't paying enough attention. Yes, he's 16th in points. He scored a lot of stage points this year, and he's starting pretty decent. He's starting in the 12th position, which is not bad at all. So I can bet on Stenhouse being pretty good here. Racing Refresh, welcome to the stream. Had Kurt on both picks on Friday. Racing Refresh had Kurt Busch on both. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Kurt Busch is definitely a dark horse pick. If you're a bettor, that is a really good pick to have. Let me see what his odds are real quick for Vegas. But he is very good at Atlanta, again, with both. It doesn't matter really what package they run. Getting it pulled up right now. Give me a quick little moment here. I'll get the camera back on. But, yeah, those are the 2 sleeper picks for today's race. We'll go into the must-haves here in a couple minutes once I log in. Oh, my goodness. I'm fat-fingering it. Like, really badly. I think it closes, like, at 3:15. Or it might be closed already. Who knows? A little bit of stalling going on right now. Sports, let's see. Futures. Motorsports. They got a bunch of Formula One stuff on here right now. Yeah, I'm too late to see what the odds are for Kurt Busch for today's race. NASCAR app might actually have... Yeah, Kurt Busch is 8-1 odds. Okay, so his odds are a little better than what I thought they were going to be. But hey, not bad, not bad. I actually have him as one of my bonus picks for the top Chevy runner. I really do think Kurt Busch is going to have a good day today. He's got a decent starting spot, starting 11th just outside the top 10. I really do see Kurt Busch as a good fantasy start for your lineups. Again, that locks in a couple minutes, so you only got a couple minutes to get it in. But Kurt Busch is definitely high on my radar for this week. Like I mentioned, he's going to be in my fantasy team. I think there's a good chance he'll score points today, both on the top 10 and stage points, with having a pretty decent starting spot. All three stages are pretty similar in length, all over just over 100 laps in length right now. So look out for Kurt Busch in today's race. Last but not least, we are going to climb into our must-haves. So here's a look at the must-haves for the Atlanta Motor Speedway today, the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. And all three of these guys have very similar stats, so that's what made my race winning pick very, very difficult and tough to choose from. But Brad Keselowski is going to be the first guy we're going to talk about here. Keselowski's got 6 straight top 10s at the Atlanta Motor Speedway with 2 wins in the last 4 races here, as well as a second-place finish in that 4-race stretch. So Keselowski knows how to get it done here. He'll go for his first win of the season and 3rd career win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway today. Now, one thing for Brad Keselowski as well, he is sitting very good in the point standings. Brad Keselowski currently is second in points coming in, and he's been the most consistent of the 3 Penske drivers so far this year. Logano's probably been a close second, but Keselowski's got one more top 5 than Joey Logano right now. 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s in the first 5 races with 1 stage win, and that's what leads him second in points as well, versus Logano being 3rd in points. And the recent track success at Atlanta, for instance, that Keselowski has versus Logano probably makes him as a more confident pick. That is for sure. Next guy we'll go on to is Martin Truex Jr. Truex, also 6 straight top 10s, much like Keselowski and Harvick for that matter. We'll get to Harvick in a couple seconds. Martin Truex Jr. is 3 straight top 5s, and he did do a very, very good job in the Xfinity race yesterday. Kind of mentioned that he was going to during our Xfinity race live stream. We were doing a live commentary / reaction to that race, and Truex dominated the first 2 stages. He not only won the first 2 stages, but I think he led all but 10 laps until he had a speeding penalty on pit road with 50 laps to go, and still came back to finish in second place despite only having 2 restarts after he ended up having that pit road speeding penalty. That's a little different, though. Obviously, the Xfinity cars drive a lot different than the Cup cars on the intermediate tracks with this 550 package versus what the Xfinity Series package is with a lot lower downforce. But it does help to get those extra laps of practice in a season, much like most of last year, where you have limited practice to no practice, especially this week, no practice or qualifying. So Truex has more track time than anybody else in the field today outside of Austin Cindric, but Cindric's making his first really start outside of the Daytona 500 this year, so it'll be interesting to see also what Cindric can do from the rear of the field. But getting back to Martin Truex Jr., he is definitely a confident pick for your fantasy team if you have not locked your picks in. Fantasy is locked. Okay, well, fantasy's locked anyway. These the must-haves that we have every week, just a fair warning, are all going to be in my lineup. Not always the sleeper picks are going to be in my lineup. It's going to depend on usages, but the must-haves definitely will. And these 3 drivers are definitely must-haves. And Kevin Harvick is probably the biggest on the must-have list for this week. He's got 6 straight top 10s as well, like we just mentioned at Atlanta. 2 wins in the last 3 races at Atlanta, and 4 top 5s in that 6-race stretch. Interesting fact also with Kevin Harvick, he is 6th all-time in laps led at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And with that leading lap stat, also he has led over 100 laps in 6 of the last 8 Atlanta races. That is just absurd. I was looking on Racing Reference earlier today when I pulled that stat up. Yes, that is very accurate. He has led so many laps at Atlanta, and most of them have been in the last 6 to 8 races where really we've seen him run better at Atlanta than what he has through most of his career. We look at Atlanta as being a track where he got that first career win back in 2001, but really after that, he kind of had like a dry spell at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, especially even just the next season in '02. He DNF'd out of both races versus running in the top 5 for both the races in his rookie season at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. But getting back to present times, with the Gen 6 car, for all three of these guys having those top 10s, that's the recent success we usually like to go off of. Now that we've had more races with this package as well, as far as the intermediates go, I usually don't like to look too far past the 2019 season. But when you have a lot of success before and with this package, it doesn't matter what package it is, Kevin Harvick knows how to find victory lane at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let me go on to his racing reference again, just to show you guys how many laps he has led. We mentioned that he's led over 100 laps in 6 of the last 8 races. But, I mean, it is just absurd. And the crazy thing is he's led all these laps with only 2 wins in that stretch. And that's what worries me about Harvick as far as taking him to win today's race. Because Harvick leads all these laps, but he's only got 2 wins to show for. And we mentioned that dry spout that he had through most of his career there in the middle part of his career at Atlanta for some reason. So again, pulling it up right now. Sorry, my phone's taking a little bit to load. Probably because I don't have the Wi-Fi turned on. All right, so here we go. Last year, Kevin Harvick led 151 laps at Atlanta. He led 45 in 2019. That was one of the races he did not lead over 100 laps, but still, I mean, 45 laps pretty good. He also won a stage that year, so he was up towards the front at good times, and he still finished in 4th in that race. And by the way, with 2020, he did win. Year he won as well, 2018. He led 181 of the 325 laps. Again, all these races were 500 miles in length. Also, the year before, 2017, he led 292 of the 325 laps, still finished 9th. I believe he had a pit road speeding penalty, if I remember right, in that race under the last stops because they had a late race caution, and that kind of put him back. But that was the most dominant race he had, despite only getting a 9th place finish to show for it out of it. But he lapped so many cars that he was still able to get the top 10 despite having that late pit road speeding penalty. I mean, he just had an absurdly fast race car for that race. 131 laps led in 2016 with a 6th place finish. Runner-up finish in 2015. He led 116 laps. He led 195 laps in 2014. So these are all the starts that he's had with Stewart-Haas. He's only had one race where he hasn't led more than 100 laps, and he led 45 in that race. He didn't lead any in his last year with RCR, but actually ended up finishing 9th place still in that race, and then he had a 5th place finish leading 101 laps 8 years ago in 2012. So, Kevin Harvick knows how to win at this racetrack, that is for sure, and he just knows how to be out in front at this racetrack, let alone winning the race. Danny Gilpatrick, welcome to the stream. Never done fantasy, how does it work? Yeah, so essentially, fantasy with the mobile app, it's easy as far as how it works. Simply, you put in your lineup. You have 5 drivers to choose from and 1 garage driver. You have until the end of stage 2 to actually set your starting 5. So if somebody crashes out or has a mechanical failure of some sort, or just simply isn't running well compared to the other 5 guys, you can put that garage driver into your starting lineup. Again, it locks at the end of stage 2. And the points are scored pretty simply as well. Whatever the drivers score points-wise in that race, that's what you score. So if you have Martin Truex Jr. on your team this week, he wins both stages, wins the race, gets 60 points, you get 60 points. And it's like a season-long kind of total. Whether you're in a league or simply going for, they have a grand prize at the end of the year as well. It's free to enter, so why not enter? There are also, for the crown jewel races, the bigger races in the season at least, they have $10,000 prize if you're number 1 overall out of everybody playing. But there is thousands and thousands and thousands of people playing this. I know right now I have, let's see, how many points do I got? Yeah, so right now I've got 870 points total in the first 5 races. and I'm 41,820th in the rank. And that's not even, like, the ranking's not that great, but it's still early in the season, so everybody's kind of bunched together. But yeah, it's pretty easy. It's fun to play. I've been doing it for the last few years. I highly recommend if you're a NASCAR fan, it's just fun to kind of have that, especially if you don't have like a rooting interest every week. Say your driver might have retired. If you've been a long-time fan in recent years, this is one way to start rooting for guys if you don't have necessarily a big or one simple driver to root for on a weekly basis. The race did start, by the way. I'm watching it on my phone, so if I start stuttering a little bit, that would be why. Now, we're going to get out of here in a couple minutes, so again, kind of a later stream than what I wanted. We'll run till the bottom of the hour. We'll run till 3:30, so we'll give it the next 8 minutes roughly. But yeah, it's been a fun time. These episodes, again, are going to be about 45 minutes, roughly to an hour every week, both the predictions and the post-race analysis. We'll get everything in depth. I'll start doing power rankings with the video, both coming in. My personal power rankings are going to be coming into the race, and then for the post-race analysis, my power rankings leaving the race. And then obviously that will follow into the next week and the next week and the next week. There's an off week coming up soon. They go to Dirt Bristol next week and then off for Easter, so we won't have anything that week. But outside of that, that's kind of my plans with doing this fantasy podcast going forward. Not that many people watching today, but the race did just start, and it was a little later than what I wanted it to be also. My apologies on that one, but we will be on time on race day, and the start time will vary every week depending on the start time of the actual race, but we'll try to get it in within a couple hours before the race starts, and yeah, just talk NASCAR for an hour pre-race, get everything ready to go. And any last questions down in the chat? I know you can't really ask fantasy questions now because the race just started again. That is why we'll be doing it earlier. I got stuck on the golf course again. That is not a big excuse, but at the same time, too, knowing that I usually play 9 holes in an hour to maybe a little over an hour, and the fact it took me like 2.5 hours to play 9 holes a day, that's how slow it was out there. So I literally got home an hour and a half later than what I was expecting to. I was not expecting it to be that packed out. I mean, it's 60 degrees, but usually early in the year, they don't get that many people out. There hasn't been that many people out every other day. It's been 60 degrees, so. Because they had 666 points last week. Oh, that's not good. Well, you had like 3 drivers score 6 points last week or something? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know how you could have scored 666 points already. How much am I at? Well, never mind. I guess it's possible. I'm at 870. I guess you could be at 666 total. Yeah, we'll look at the Fantasy League standings as well before we get out of here. It's the wrong league. In our league, of course, the KRC League. Yeah, P-Shat Motorsports is number 1 right now, 958 points total. Super B-Man, which is Tim Irvin, is at 947, not far behind him, only 11 points. Then kind of a bigger gap back to Andrew Hollenbach and myself. Andrew rounds out the top 3 with 888, but it's still very early in the year. And not only that, not only everybody's kind of bunched together early in the year, so it's easy to move up spots or close in quite a bit, but the fact we still have, even after today, 20 more races before the regular season starts, the regular season ends, which is as long as this fantasy league wants to go. Yeah, we'll see. Want Kyle Larson to be in the finals this year. Yeah, I guess I can talk about who all I have in my fantasy lineup, means the race already started. I'm not going to give you guys my full lineup every week, but you know the must-haves are all in my lineup, and I did kind of spoil the fact that Kurt Busch is in my lineup this week as well. But I do have Kyle Larson in my lineup. That's one thing you got to do with fantasy, too. You got to play the hot hand. You don't want to play him too much, especially early in the year, but Kyle Larson, he's been on a tear this season. And Atlanta, he has had some success, not as good as some of those must-haves. That's why he wasn't on the must-haves, but he is on my lineup today. I think he can have a pretty good day. Where do you stand in the fantasy? I have to go back. I exited out of it. Let's see, Ethan. What's your fantasy name? 'Cause I don't think it's your actual name. Is it EC23? I'm going to guess it's EC23. If it is, 751 points total, and you're sitting 8th in the league right now. But 8th, back from first, 207 if I do my math correctly. But again, 207 points sounds like a lot, but it's almost kind of like Winston Cup points because you could score. Like, I've scored nearly 200 points in 4 of the 5 races we've ran this season. I think there's been 2 races that have scored right around 200. So, I mean, you're maybe a full race back. But between it being early in the season, having that many races left, and just the fact you can score a lot. Honestly, like, mathematically going into the Daytona race at the end of the regular season for this contest and trying to win the league championship, if you're within 150 points, you still got a shot. Especially with Daytona being the last race. Like, you can, somebody like Patrick could be leading last week of the season by 150, and he has like 4 guys that crash out of the race and scores 50 points, and you get all 5 of your drivers to make it through, and you score like 190. I mean, you're going to overtake him. So, finish last this week. You have to start Quinn Houff next week. No, that is a terrible. Nope. We are not doing stipulations like that in the league. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, we are not going to do that. That's funny, though. If it wasn't... See, the thing is, there's like a grand prize like on NASCAR at the end of the year, so I'm not going to make anybody do that. I know, it's brutal. What if you finish last 10 times and you can't start Quinn Houff more than 10 times? That's another thing, too. You can only start a guy up to 10. That is very brutal. That would take you out of the running to win any sort of grand prize. And your odds of finishing last the next week will be very high as well. So it looks like Denny Hamlin's in the lead early right now. They're at lap 15, so I don't know what lap they're having the competition yellow. But yeah, we're going to end this thing at 3:30, so we only got a couple more minutes here. So anything else you guys want to add into the chat, please do so. We're going to have a chicken shift. Oh, I thought you said shift. I think. Oh, you put the exclamation point on there. I was gonna say it looked like an F at first. I was like, what? Okay. Start Cody Ware. Yeah, if you use Houff too many times, you can start Cody Ware if he's racing that week, or one of the Rick Ware cars. Whatever one's racing Rick Ware car for that week. James Davidson. Yeah, that's going to pretty much wrap it up. I will see you guys later tonight. We'll be live streaming on NASCAR Heat 5 again. Career mode, depending on what time the race gets over with and what time I start, we might do a doubleheader. I'm not entirely sure. It also depends on how long the first race takes. But we go to Texas tonight. Yeah, we go to Texas and then maybe Richmond if we do a doubleheader for the Truck Series. No start time on that because I'm not 100% sure where. And then again, 5 o'clock tomorrow, right on time, we will be here for our post-race analysis portion of the fantasy podcast. Again, we'll be doing these twice a week, day after the race and day of the race. Predictions day of, post-race analysis day after. The reason why I'm not doing immediately after the race is because there's like at least 4 or 5 NASCAR YouTubers that do stuff like that after the race, so I'll wait an extra day. But yeah, still caution-free, it looks like. Told you Quinn Houff laps the field twice. Yeah, we'll see about that. If Quinn Houff even gets a top 20 on a mile and a half, that's a win for that team. I'll tell you that right now. He's been terrible to see. There's still drivers that have only made one start that are ahead of Quinn Houff in the standings. Yeah, let me look here one more time. Right before we get out of here. Quinn Houff is 34th in the standings. He's tied for 33rd with Joey Gase. Josh Bilicki's 2 points ahead of Quinn Houff. Rick Ware Racing entry. Jamie McMurray only ran the Daytona 500, and he's still ahead of Quinn Houff in points. Quinn Houff has ran every race. Joey Gase has only ran 2 races, and he's ahead of Quinn Houff, who has ran 5. That's another thing. Josh Bilicki has made all 5 starts, but yeah, Joey Gase, who's made 2 starts, is tied with Quinn Houff in points. And Jamie McMurray, who's made 1 start, granted he scored a top 10, but still, 1 start, Daytona 500, and he's still ahead of Quinn Houff in points by 10. I mean, Quinn Houff can theoretically finish 36th or worse the next 10 races before he catches Jamie McMurray. And that isn't impossible. That is not impossible. That's sad. There's some other guys having some bad seasons so far, and I know he's got bad equipment, but you've ran 3 or 4 more races than the guys that are ahead of you in points still. That's not good. All right, it's 3:31, guys. Bottom of the hour. Thanks everybody for watching. Leave a like on your way out of here, and again, these streams will be 45 minutes to an hour. This is the Grant Alf Show. Yeah, it is not. But yeah, okay, again, we are going to get on our way out of here. I'm going to watch the race here today on my own, from my own couch, for today's race. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll do these every week, and we will do them a lot longer, give you guys more of a chance, and in more preparation before the race as well. So sorry for the late start time this week, but we will be going forward having these at least an hour before the start of the race. Thanks everybody. I'll see you tonight on NASCAR Heat 5.